Good evening, everybody, and welcome. It is indeed 7 p.m. and we're here for the clinic session. I've got everyone on mute for the moment, just for the initial speechy bit, if you like. But as always, you're well able to unmute in the questions section later. Hi, Zach. Hi, Mary. Pat, hello. Welcome, Matt. Nice to see you all on. Welcome. So the little speechy bit I've got for you, hopefully it won't be too long and it won't lengthen the session in any way. I am recording. I will drop a recording on YouTube. I do have space on my discs this time. So here's the session. If you always do what you always did, then you'll always get what you always got. Basically then, if you're not getting what it is you were seeking, something needs to change. Maybe it is your schedule. Maybe it is your style of trading. Numbers never lie. Are you recording your numbers? Are you reviewing those numbers? I share many useful documents with traders, but they rarely are only any use if you are making the time to hold for yourself a financial review meeting, and that is just for yourself. It can be just you, but you do need to review the numbers. Of course, you need to you need the record of your numbers to make any sense of that. But hopefully you do have those numbers recorded somewhere. I'm going to be looking at this chart in a moment, but I wanted to show you that you do have a business plan. And you need these numbers, any other income, your turnover from your regular salary, whatever it is. And I'm on the monthly accounts section here. And yes, it's all blank because I gave you all a blank one where you can change the year. We're in January. It's not too late to fill in the numbers for January. There's profit and loss, income values, key decisions. We got a whole vision, mission. What is it you called it there? Zach and Brian, mission, vision, values. Well, here we've got a few more topics to boot, but you can fill those in for yourself. And of course, you must record your results. Failing to do that gives you nothing to manage. And what gets measured gets managed. If you don't have something measured or measurable, then you've nothing to manage. It's possible that some people do chop and change their trading style. They do chop and change the times of their trading. So what they need to do then is go back and look at the good times and see when they were and trade that. They don't need to go picking on the bad times. Oh, I always did terrible between 8 and 9 a.m. Stop and go from 9 till 10 or, 7 till 8. Whatever it is that works, stick with that. You can see that I've got the Dow open on the Dynamic Edge or the DT2, depending on where you came from. The DWL3 even. It is what it is. It's all the same thing and it's all shared on www.babypips.com. And the reason I've got that, I'm going to go onto the 4-hour screen. I'm going to show you the NAS. If there's anyone who would like to pipe in and say, yes, James, I agree with you. I've been saying buy the dips. Buy the dips. When we see the divergence within the indicator, there's a new dip and the rejection of a line, and it's a classic pivot. Another dip and a classic pivot. Another dip, another dip. Buy the dips. I've been banging on about it for I don't know how long now, but there's a bit of a W on the go with the FTSE here. And you all know I've got upper targets. I was looking for 50,000 on the Dow. I was looking for 28,657 on the NAS and 28,657 on the DAX, and we can prove it simply by bringing in the alarms and showing you that there are my value alarms on those markets, and they're right there. I'll go back to the intraday Dow, and if we look at the open, there's a dip and it comes off one of our levels and then it rallies. And if you look at 49, I'm going to say 49.2 up to 49.4. There are 200 pips there in several bites, all very doable. And as you can see, these red dots here, it pulls back after impacting on these red dots. Well, those are an indicator that we designed the settings for, and you can see we've struggled again at that level. But there's a dip at the pink line, there's another dip with an X, A, B, C higher than A, W up to the red line, and just that last one after 3 p.m. if we said 49.3 up to 49.4, there's 100 pips available in there, and then a shoulder head shoulder for the sell-off, and it's very doable because the signal is the signal regardless of the trend. Is it agreed with on the 2 minutes shoulder head shoulder? Yes, we've gone below the line. Yes, we've rejected levels that we discuss often and regularly. Indicators that we swear by and discuss often and regularly, and signals coupled with divergence, we got lower highs, higher highs, rejection of a line, big round number and that big red line, and a signal. All of it very doable. If we look at, say, 49.340, 49.240, another 100 pips right there. Hi Judy, welcome to you. We've only been going a few minutes, 6 minutes or so. I've looked at the 4-hour charts, NASDAQ, Dow and FTSE, where I've been banging on about buying the dips. I don't mind repeating myself. Buying the dips, look for the pivots. And then we've looked at the intraday Dow, which offered more pips for everybody. Even though it's Monday, you all know I like Mondays to myself. But once we get into the evening, I don't mind doing an educational session for everybody, and I'll be back at the charts myself full on tomorrow. So everybody, questions now. It is your turn. I've banged on for 7 minutes or so, 6 minutes 45 seconds, about what gets measured gets managed. It's only going to get managed if you're measuring it. If you don't have the records, you can do nothing, and you're wasting your time taking part in anything resembling a financial review meeting because you don't have the numbers. So, tally-ho chaps, questions please. And yes, the sessions are going ahead as normal tomorrow, Thursday. The funeral's behind me now, and I'm all back to normal the week ahead. I might, on a separate screen next week, record from 1426 onwards till about 1435, just for my own reference. Probably won't put it on YouTube, and it will be on a blank chart, and that is simply to highlight the levels called and sort of prove the pudding, if you like. They do say the proof is in the pudding, don't they? Something like that. That's my point. Anyway, there's a pivot right there, 1900 off a pink line, and what have we done? I'm going to zoom a bit to see 49.4 up to 49.440. There you go. All of it very doable, all of it within the rules of everything you've ever heard me talking about. Questions, fire away people, please. Anything? There's one from Kuda. I feel personally attacked by the timing of your speechy speech. Didn't measure my stuff properly last week and shot myself in the foot. In a later review, I found I'd started chopping and changing the way I was trading due to overconfidence, and that's what did me in. Well, I apologise for the personal attack. Actually, no, you know what? I was warned by the lovely Xenia to not apologise. So what I'm going to say, and I do apologise, is work on yourself so I don't got to do this again next week, Monday. All right? I kind of like that. Remember the little, what was it? The what's his name? Grogu, the little Grogu meme I shared everywhere. Meme. Work on yourself so I don't got to personally attack you again next week, Monday. But, there you go. There is a point. And I'm glad you've written that, because what are we? We're 25 people online together now. And I guarantee you, sir, you are not the only one who is not keeping records. Guarantee. Absolute guarantee. Not everybody keeps records. I'm kind of meticulous with my own. But that's my own, and I appreciate that you've written that. I'm going to read it out again. I found I'd started chopping and changing the way I was trading due to overconfidence. That's what did me in. Well, there you go. We had another gentleman like that some time ago. I won't name names, but remember, he used to do really, really well for a while, and then he'd get what he called a God complex, thought he could do no wrong. Well, I know I can do wrong. It's why I have a strategy. I develop these strategies for those of us who are happy to accept that we make mistakes. There you go. If I load template, you all know the buy it, sell it, BISI 5, 4, 3, 2, and the basic buy it, sell it. The T2B2 is my favorite for the moment. Matt says, making that statement will also help you hold yourself more personally accountable and you won't let it happen again and crush the market. That's it. Yeah, you'll crush the markets because you're going to hold yourself accountable. You'll only hold yourself accountable if you've something measured. And Rusty says, I struggle with the rules as written for the strategy versus the rules while live trading. Well, remember, Rusty, the rules while live trading, we're trading, and I'll read the rest of your question in a moment. The rules while we're live trading, we usually trade 2 till 4, and 2 means we're going to take into account news and the open where there is excess volatility, which if we scroll back on the 1 minute Dow here to that open, we can examine the size of the bars. Back, 15, 14, 30. There you go. We examine the size of the bars and you can see they are big bars. That's why we need pivots. It's why we need divergence and rejection of a line. So outside of those hours, Rusty, we are more than capable of using the simple buy it, sell it and just following the rules of that strategy. So if we said after 3 p.m, and I'll zoom back in again, after 3 p.m, well, there's there, right there, 1500, 1510, 1511. Is that a valid, what are you called, DWL, DT2 signal? Well, it is. And if we look at the levels, I'm going to say it's what, 49,310 up to, well, there's a breakout, 49,360. There's a valid 60 pip trade. There is a valid Hopper combo sell, 49,360. We've gone below 49,3. There's another 60 pip trade. Now we're pure signals. Is this a valid buy? No, there's no Hopper combo. Is this a valid continuation sell? Yes, because we've broken out. We've got red again. Is this a valid buy? Yes, Hopper combo. Boom, 49,340, 360, 380. There you go. The rules differ in times of extreme volatility. Remember the saying, all battle plans are out the window at the first sign of gunfire. Well, no, not for the brave, no, or the foolish. The foolish will stand there and take their shots and they'll take them on the chin when they land. That's not really foolish. That's disciplined. That's what that is. Hang on, as an example, the pivot on the US 30 off the purple is below the 21 EMA. Yes, but when is that? What time are you talking about there, Rusty? Are you talking about back at the open? The pivot off purple at the open there? Well, opening volatility factored in? No, on the left chart. Pivot off purple. This one right there. Hang on, it's not in the right. No, the most recent one off purple. Okay, well, purple's all the way down here and there isn't a recent one. If you mean pink, yes, it's below white over here, but what's it above? And what does that entail? Yeah, okay, off pink, he says. Hang on. And let me finish reading. PSAR is not in the right position. MACD is in the right position. It's difficult to differentiate when to be strict. Okay, let me ask you more questions. Do we talk about divergence, rejection of a line signal? In which case, what, please tell me, is that exactly? Is that divergence? Rusty? You type yes or no. Yes, okay. Is that the rejection of a line? Yes or no? Yes, okay. And is that a 2-minute chart? Now I'd need to move this over, but look, it's a 2-minute chart. So if we now go and look at the buy signal on the 1-minute chart, we have to say it's the most recent one. So it's just after the 1900 hours, which is this. So we'd have to say, is this a valid signal? Is it? Yes, says Judy. Okay. So with divergence, rejection of a line and a signal, someone's going to tell me the 3 letters that are relevant for this long trade. FOB. Well, there you go. You've answered it yourself, Rusty. FOB. Finger on button. Get in. Don't hold it if it pulls back against you. That's it. It's not difficult to differentiate then, is it? You wrote, it's difficult to differentiate when to be strict, etc. It isn't. It really isn't. You already knew the answer to that. Get in, get out. Get in again, get out again. You see the channels? You've got channels, and if we do this, I'm not going to do this because there's a line on there that I'm not sharing with everybody. But you know the answer. Fob, finger on button is absolutely the right answer. That's the right thing to look at. Finger on button. I'm going to delete all drawings and hide that again. You had the answer. And Zach said that, yeah, the open is a bit different compared to every other time we trade. Yes. Again, that's why I'm on with you in the open and I call levels. Tell me, please, ladies and gentlemen, do I call the levels? Do I, is Claude on? Because he's usually the first to say, yeah, you do, and they're clear. Judy says, yes, that'll do for me. Pat says, yes. And Zach says, yes, thank you. And Judy says, I realise my biggest issue is letting it come back too far out of fear of loss. And thanks, Adam. There's several yeses in there. Now, again, Rusty, you know, not just Rusty, everybody, you know, I very often use the letters A, B, C. Someone please tell me what that stands for. Always be checking. Thank you, thank you. Always be checking. So if I said that's an obvious X, that's, a potential X, A, potential B. What's that then? It's a potential C. What are we looking at then? A potential butterfly pattern, isn't it? So, okay, the first one didn't run. It was a finger on the button trade. The signal is here. And yeah, you'll wait. You're still finger on button because it's really got to flip this before you believe that this is the C to D leg of a W. If it doesn't flip that, you're probably out with a few pips. Why? Because you were always checking. Why were you always checking? Because that's what I taught you, isn't it? Now we've got a lower high. A higher low, a higher low. So far, a higher low. Have you any reason to exit this trade? No. So what are you waiting for? You're waiting for the PSAR to flip, and then your target will move from the 60 up to the 49.5, where a C higher than A, W, would complete, or maybe just to this red line right there. In other words, my learned friends and colleagues, nothing is broken. But perhaps you sometimes overthink, oh, that one didn't go. So this doesn't work. No, that's part of a W, X, A, B, C, and tally ho. Now, who's been on with me when we were looking for some of these W's? And I know we had some in the very, very recent weeks. There you go. And I'm told, now I feel attacked, overthinking. Well, good. So work on yourself so that I don't got to attack you again next Monday. Again, I've been warned by my sensible and lovely advisor. No more apologies. Be yourself. And yeah, I'm going to do exactly that. You know, I must tell you, the funeral I was at recently, I can tell you because none of my family listen to this stuff. The lady who passed was only 68. 68. You know, that's not really... Now, in fairness, she wasn't healthy, wasn't smoking all her life and stuff like that. Alrighty, okay, and I've never smoked. I'm a very healthy individual. I walk, I still do my press-ups every morning. I'm fit as I don't know what. But it just shows you don't know the minute. So, ladies and gentlemen, you're on here with me to make the most of your minutes. There's an advert on the TV recently or lately, and it says, we have approximately 79,000 days. Alrighty, make the most of them, all of them. Squish in as much as you possibly can with your life generally. And Judy says, yes, we love the James. Well, thank you, appreciate that. But yeah, you know, everything works. The fibs work. Green, green, green. There's 3 greens, 4th green, red. We can draw a fib there. But below 440, I would be pulling the plug on there. So this one, if we said 425 maybe, that would only be a 15 pipper. Only 15 pips, only looking for 10 pips an hour. So I'd only be 5 pips over target, plus whatever that I got out of this one, perhaps another 5. So I might have, for that hour between 7 and 8, 20 pips already. And then I'll draw my fib and look where the 38.2, the 50%, the continuation, probably over the 440, with a finger on the button, looking for 460, but the bands are trying to close. You all know we've got a T2B2, which absolutely wipes the floor with a DWL3 or a DT2 or a dynamic edge or whatever else you know this strategy as. You know that. the buy it, sell it, simple. We really do have much better management tools in our group. Trade entry is much clearer, trade exit is much more clearly defined, and trade management is handed to you on a very, I was going to say, crystal clear silver tray, but it isn't. It's either a red or a green line, isn't it? And it's very, very pretty the way it follows us or trails or allows us to trail price, allowing you to measure and manage. And once again, 10 pips an hour is really all you need. I'm going to fib that because it is a valid fib and I'm interested. I'll show everybody how I fib. I've got a run of colour, 1, 2, at least 3 greens. I've got 4 greens, great. I'm allowed to draw the fib from there to there, top of the first retracement. And then I need to look at where we're hovering, where we are. We cannot go below red or the fib is dead. But if we ping off yellow or red and travel back up above white with other reasons to be able to go long factored in fairness, we probably have a bit of a channel on the go here. We could look at that channel, we could look at the floor of the channel and tighten it up. Did I just zoom? I did just zoom. I won't worry. There are so many things, that we can use as measuring and managing tools, if only we would care to use them. We can see the bands closing in, so what do we see? Range, we've pulled the plug. If we went back in at 440 and it comes back, you've taken it on the chin there. It closed maybe 2 pips below, so you might be up 2 pips with that move, you might be down 2 pips with that move. But a 5 and a 15, 20 pips, now you're down to 18. That means I'd have to call it 15. It's still more than 10 pips an hour, and it's still far from our best ever strategy, in fairness. And you all know that, because you all know what we're using. I've got this one on because I'll share it on YouTube and I'll share it for everybody, for all to see, all the world, if you like. But again, what gets measured gets managed. That's what this process was about there. And again, I'm not really trying to personally attack anybody, but if you feel personally attacked, then likely you're not doing it properly. And that's the reality. Very often, as drivers, we might sometimes be accompanied. Might be a female passenger, and you might understand what I'm talking about when I say it's amazing that us drivers as men get anywhere, from anywhere to anywhere, when we're on our own, because we get so much instruction or whinging otherwise, don't we? And that's not real, because I only ever go anywhere in my own car on my own. But it is what it is, you know what I mean? Attack away, says Rusty. Absolutely, always helpful. I appreciate you saying that. Thank you. And there's a snigger from Arthur. Look at it, there's a perfect fib, and it's perfectly doing what we perfectly ask it to do time and time again. The longer time frame traders, the people who just trade off for 2 minutes or using our regular T2B2, you'd be all over this now, wouldn't you? You'd be absolutely enjoying the fib that we drew. I deleted it, of course, but that's because I zoomed or something. And there you go, pinged off for 50%, broke above it. Need I say, da, 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 da. It's not rocket science, it's not difficult. The difficulty is in taking ownership. The difficulty is in taking the responsibility. And, go on, yeah, there's a question, and it's a question on that fib, which I deleted as your question.
I tried to type it before you deleted it again.
There it is, it's back. Go ahead.
So in terms of like playing this, because this is a really good move, a good example,
Yep.
you would likely have exited the trade, and then when you saw it bounce off of 50, now you're looking for the re-entry. Is that right?
Yeah, well, there's one re-entry being already, so we've got these tweezer bottoms on the go here, and then a break above. So you probably re-entered here. That would be acceptable. And we failed at a double top up here, and we've come back You see that number over there? You all know me well enough to know that that's a number that we factored in. We'd have probably closed out there. What is there? There's maybe 5 pips in it. And if I were to say, oh no, we got in at the 34 and out at the 47, there's 15 pips in there, you all know I'd be speaking absolute bollocks, because that's not the real. Yeah, we never hold through a big pullback. We're trading a 1 minute chart. The minute we see one of our levels breached, yeah, I'm heading for them there hills and I'm looking for the next entry. But if we had 5 and 15 and maybe a -2, I've just got another 5. So, 25, 23. I'm on 23 pips now. And I'm looking for a sensible reason to be able to go again. My drawings aren't really helpful.
And so I mean, this is okay. That's very, very helpful. I've been working on my fibs, my my skill with it, or lack of. But so when you see it, you exited an awesome trade because you saw it pulling back, but you're still checking, right? Always be checking.
Yeah, still checking. And we're still expecting, by the way, you see this kind of thing over here, we're still expecting this kind of thing because we know we're in an X. You know what I'm going to do? Instead of writing it up there, I'm going to go and take this thing. Oh, actually, I'll go like this and take this thing, because this matters for the, the professionals with inverted commas there. Oh, I'm still on that bloody chart, aren't I? So, club at that and click, 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 click. Now I'm on this chart and I want a proper professional X, A, B, C, W will be up there somewhere. And there you go. If I can take him over now, and we'll move him to where he shoulda, woulda, coulda be. He should be about there. And it'd be interesting to see if by about 1946 or so, the Dow breaches those previous highs. That's what a butterfly looks like, and that's how you manage a butterfly. You end up with a nice trend channel to play with. And obviously, you're still looking for the usual suspects, the usual, oh, have you told me I'm allowed to stay in this? Are you telling me I'm allowed to stay in this? Are you also confirming? Have we pivoted? Have we, had reason to re-enter the third? What's it? 1, 2, 3. Oh no, was it 3, 4? We're in this, the 4th entry now, and there are some people who say 4 entries. Well, you're overtrading. Well, yeah, I'll give you that. There's potential for overtrading, but are you winning all 4 of those? And have you got what you're looking for the hour? In which case, you're just doing your job. That's what you're doing. You're doing your job. You're here as a trader. You're trading. You know the levels we favour. You know the fibs that we favour. You know the targets and the patterns. You know about divergence and W's and buy hopper mode and a buy hopper. We know all those things. All we need to do is apply it. So someone's going to tell me, it's sort of moot point now, but I was going to say someone's going to tell me where the next level of resistance is going to be, but we're sort of already there, aren't we? It's going to be the 23.6, which we've resisted, and then there's a new fib, and then the 60, the 460 level. So I'm going to delete that fib, and because he's about to close red, we get ourselves a brand new fib that we can play with, and I'm going to use that word, play with, because bearish engulfing bar. Where are you going to, little red bar? Show me what your support or power is. And the fib tells you what that is, And I know it's little brown mouse and all that. Come and have lunch in my underground house. Well, only if you get back up above 448, and then I'll be interested in the 457 and the 460 again. If you don't get back up above there before you go below there, then you're dead and I'm done. And thank you very much. But if we look at how many pips that would have been, I can put a crosshair on. There's nothing on there we're afraid to share. We'd have gone probably above the 440 off the fib. We've gone up 57. We've rejected 60. We come back below his close. It'd be safe to say about 10 pips there. That's about what I'd be looking for, 10 pips. So now we're looking at a 30 pip or 35 pip hour rather than a 10 pip hour. That's the deal. More questions? No. Or are you still thinking of moving the late Thursday session? I am indeed, Adam. Yes, still thinking of moving that. Well, moving it, cancelling the late Thursday and having one somewhere else. I'm not sure exactly the when the somewhere else would be. But, I mean, look at the beautiful pivot off a white line and a 440 and a, well, thank you very much. Nothing's broken, everybody. It all still works. And there in a random 1900 to 1929, we're looking at a potential 40 pips for that hour. Until I decide on the when it's going to move to, Adam, I can't really announce what that's going to be. But yeah, I'm still thinking of moving that. So I'll end here because then we can keep the session to a nice, sensible 30 minutes. We're back on tomorrow at 9 a.m. live for the DAX. Everybody, please trade safe until then. And I look forward to seeing you all in the morning, those of you who will join me. Thanks, Mary. Thanks, everybody. Again, the most important advice I can give you, trade safe. Thanks all. Bye-bye.